Elsie is a brand new roguelike 2D action platformer game that reminds me so much of Mega Man X, it's amazing. You'll blast your way through procedurally generated levels, an army of robots with a crazy amount of upgrades and items to unlock. So, to get your best start in this amazing new game, here are 8 essential tips you need to know that the game might not explain super well. First off, you're going to need to learn Elsie's moveset. Just like Mega Man, she can run, jump, shoot, climb up, and slide down walls. But Elsie also has a few other tricks up her sleeve that are worth learning and mastering to make it through the game. This brings us to tip number 1, the dash attack. Elsie's dash isn't just for speed or making it across large gaps. It actually does have an attack built in. Dash through an enemy and it will do damage to them and drop you down behind them, allowing some time for some more quick attacks. It is important to know though, this dash does not make you invincible. You can and will take damage while dashing, so be careful who you dash attack to. Most ranged enemies will not hurt you if you pass through them, so dash attacks are fine. But enemies with melee attacks or energy pulsing around them will damage you while you also hurt them, so keep that in mind. Number 2. Elsie has a parry and a counterattack. These are essential in surviving the early stages of each run, as you don't start off with a lot of health. Every attack can be parried, with a fairly generous timing window. You press L1 or L2 on PlayStation to start the parry. This uses some energy and Elsie will shimmer as she becomes invulnerable for a second or two. If you get hit by anything at this point, you will parry the attack, take no damage, and now be able to counterattack in a short burst around yourself. This counter is not explained well in the game, but it is essential for breaking red shielded enemies in later sections of the game. Once you have successfully parried an attack, you will see a small circle around Elsie, and a ring will slowly move through this. When the ring enters the blue section and it turns green, press the parry button again to do the counter attack. This damages enemies in a circle around you, and more importantly, will break red shields that you otherwise cannot break without using a special attack. Also, important to note, you can dash and parry at the same time. So you can dash into an enemy that would damage you while parrying to damage them and not take damage yourself. Number 3. Special weapons, attacks, and energy. By default, Elsie starts each run with her blaster that can rapid fire small energy shots, a laser that fires a sustained beam for a few seconds that does big damage, and a quick energy refresh. The laser and energy refresh are special weapons that as you progress and unlock others can be swapped out in each run. Both of these require SP to use, which is the little yellow dots under Elsie's health bar. SP can be found in chests and sometimes by defeating enemies, so it's a resource that you need to maintain and keep an eye on. While the energy refresh option didn't seem very good when I first started playing the game, I quickly realized how powerful it could be. As you make it further in the game and get more unlocks, your rate of fire can increase drastically, which then eats away at your energy bar. Run out of energy and you can only fire slowly, you can't parry or dash, and are left pretty vulnerable. Being able to use this ability to instantly refill your energy bar means you can unload everything you have on enemies, refresh, and just continue fighting without having to stop and retreat. I think it's also important to note that the laser can also break the red shielded enemies. But, having limited ammo of this, eventually you may run out and be locked in a room with a red shielded enemy and need to counterattack it to be able to move on. Number 4. Story progress. Like Mega Man X, there is a story about robots destroying the world, and Elsie needs to bring them in to reprogram them and save the world. What the game doesn't explain is that to progress the story, you have to defeat other bosses in the regions to then unlock the chance to battle the Guardians themselves. As this is a roguelike, you will play the game by completing runs over and over again. Each run consists of 3 levels back to back. You always start in the Eclipse Skyport, and then after defeating the boss of that area are presented with 2 random levels to choose between. Beat that next boss and you get a choice between another 2, and if you beat that 3rd boss, you'll reach a dead end and head back to the wharf to start over again. There are 5 different levels altogether, and each level has 2 sub-bosses and then a Guardian as the final boss of that area. To get a chance to fight the Guardian, you must first beat both bosses of that region, and then you should unlock the ability to fight the Guardian on a subsequent run. It does seem to be random which sub-boss you fight, so you could fight the same one on multiple times before finding the other, so just keep that in mind. I'm also not sure if the Guardians unlock in a specific order, but after many playthroughs I was only able to get them to trigger in this specific order. Eclipse Skyport first. This is the starting area that you always start in, so beating the 2 sub-bosses and then finding the Guardian is basically guaranteed first here. Second, I was able to get the Forge Master's Caldero Guardian to spawn after defeating her 2 sub-bosses. Third was Circuit City. Fourth was the Garden of Roses. And then last was Howling Tundra. You can pretty easily tell if you'll be able to fight a new Guardian during this run as you pass through the different screens. Sometimes you'll be stopped to talk to Dr. Gray or the Guardian directly in small little cutscene-like dialogues. If you trigger these, you know you'll be up against the Guardian at the end of the level. Due to the random nature of both which stages you can pick and which bosses you'll be up against, you can go multiple runs without running into any new sub-bosses or Guardians, which means you won't progress the story until you do find a new one. Number 5. Helpful NPCs. There are 5 helpful NPCs that you can find throughout your runs that will join you back at the hub area to help in future runs. Dr. Gray you'll find on your first run through Eclipse Skyport and can't be missed. She lets you upgrade Elsie, giving you more options to select from when you level up each time you play. On subsequent runs through Eclipse Skyport, you'll encounter Remy, who is a blacksmith and can create new weapons and power-ups for you to find during your runs. Jackie is an NPC who you'll find in the Garden of Roses stage. They say they are a storyteller, but I wasn't able to find anything that they really did for you. Angel, the Mystic, is waiting in the Howling Tundra and allows you to purchase new special weapons and attacks. And then finally, Gordon, the Master Chef, is in Circuit City, and he'll let you cook up temporary buffs that you can use in each run. There's also a very helpful large robot in the wharf who will let you build bonfires and upgrade pedestals, as well as build the actual shops you need for each NPC, who's named Hebby. Hebby and Dr. Gray both use scrap that you can find on each run. Remy and Angel use Arclight coins, and Gordon uses meal tickets. You can find all these currencies as you play from chests, enemies, or bosses. Number 6. Upgrades. Once you've found your friends and used Hebby to build their shops in the wharf, you can start purchasing upgrades from them. There are no permanent upgrades in this game, rather they are all just unlocks that you can randomly find in each playthrough. Each shop will start with very few items for you to purchase, but as you play more and more, enemies will drop blueprints that you can pick up, and when you return to the wharf, you'll now be able to purchase those new upgrades. A very important thing to note with these upgrades is that when you first purchase them from Remy or Angel, you will get a copy of it for your next run. You can see that you have the upgrade if you look in the menu. So if you're struggling or finding certain areas difficult, rather than buying and unlocking everything as you can, it might be best to wait, read the descriptions of some of the items, and purchase a couple at a time that complement each other really well. Since you'll get to use them with no RNG, you can set up your next run with extra bonuses to make it easier. Number 7. Speaking of purchasing specific things, there are 5 trophies associated with wearing a full set of gear. These are the Eternal Moon set, the Night Shift or Shadow set, the Lunar set, the Prince set, and the Rainbow set. If you are chasing these trophies, it would be best to not unlock any of these items until you can purchase the full set at one time. Otherwise, you need to rely on RNG to hopefully get all the pieces on a single run. If you haven't found the blueprint for all the pieces, don't unlock the others until you find the one that you are missing, or it will get a lot harder to get them all at once. The game doesn't tell you which pieces are part of each set, but I'll show you here which ones I use to unlock them. Also, it's good to know that each of these sets do give you an extra bonus ability for wearing the full set at one time. For the Eternal Moon set, you need to equip the Eternal Moon Tiara, Eternal Moon Earrings, and the Eternal Moon Stick. I'm pretty sure these are supposed to be references to Sailor Moon, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. The Night Shift or Shadow set has 4 pieces: the Night Shift Arm, the Night Shift Boots, the Shadow Scroll, and the Shadow Plate. The Lunar set needs Lunar Boots, Lunar Helmet, and Lunar Plate. There is also a Lunar Arm piece, but I got the trophy when only equipping the other 3, so I'm not 100% sure if this is needed. The print set needs the tuxedo, black top hat, and moonlit mask. I think this is also another Sailor Moon reference to Tuxedo Mask. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Finally, the rainbow set needs rainbow arm, rainbow boots, and rainbow plate. Number 8. Other important things for you to know. Like other roguelikes, the game starts off hard and gets easier the more you play. You'll unlock bonfires in each stage. These let you rest and get half your health back at a time, and eventually unlock upgrades to the bonfires that let you choose to increase your max HP, SP, or energy instead of healing. Once I had this unlocked, I almost never healed at a bonfire, and instead chose to upgrade my max HP since I could find health drops from enemies. A lot of the abilities are very synergistic, and certain ones work really well together. There is a mechanic called fireflies that are super OP, so grabbing any skill that lets you summon them is always great. They are little balls of light that fly out from you when you perform some action. You can find upgrades that spawn them every 5 seconds, when you fire your normal weapon, when you fire your special weapon, when you parry, when you counterattack, and these little guys will home in and do small amount of damage to enemies that get close to you. If you pick the right skills, you can summon so many of these that they just wipe out enemies every time they get close. There are also challenge rooms you can choose to do in each stage. If you shoot all the targets, you get a bonus at the end. These are almost always worth it to do, and if you get any kind of homing weapon or the fireflies, they will attack the targets as well, making these rooms an absolute breeze. An important thing to note though is that if you fall and fail these challenge rooms, it does take 1 health away, so don't do it if you're close to dying and don't think you can complete it. Unlike a lot of 2D games in this genre, you can backtrack through some of the rooms. So if you find a purple locked chest and don't have a key, but you find a key in the next room, it might be a good idea to go back to the previous room and open it. Plus, the enemies don't respawn. I could probably go on and on with more tips about this game, but this video is long enough already. If you made it this far, this is my secret shout out to you. Thank you so much for watching to this point. Let me know the timestamp in the video right now in the comments down below so I know you made it this far, and what tip most helped you. Or if I've missed anything else major, let me know. I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, pick up Elsie on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, or Switch. And as always, happy gaming.